Known to the BMX world as Pedlin Lee Medlin, this year's Pioneer inductee began his BMX quest at the world-famous Corona Raceway downhill track in 1977, and he quickly clawed and climbed to the top of his class. From the age of 13 to 18, Medlin was a nationally ranked top 3M in the NBA and multi-time Grands champion, be it NBA, NBL, UBR, or ABA. In 1979, Lee was leading ABA amateur points coming into the Grands and was a favorite to take the title after winning his open main with virtual ease. But a fourth-place finish in class dropped Medlin to number 3 in the standings, allowing a kid known as the Avalanche to take the title instead. One of Lee's biggest accomplishments was doubling at the 1981 JAG BMX World Championships in Indy, where he won both 16X and the 14 and over trophy dash against the fastest cats of the time. When he turned pro in 1983, then riding for Kuwahara, Lee would be considered a contender for Rookie Pro of the Year. As one of the original members of the GT Factory team, Pedlin Medlin inspired many a BMX racer and motivated his competition to step up their game or get left behind. Please stand up and give a loud BMX welcome to your 2016 Pioneer Hall of Famer inductee, Lee Medlin.
You notice I'm so old they didn't have any video, except for that one YouTube video that popped up a couple of years ago, the Worlds. Obviously, it's the same for everybody. Don't know what to say. Too many people to thank, but I think I got it figured out. Just gonna kind of wing it. First off, I want to thank my family for coming tonight. I got my dad here. He's pretty much the reason why I did what I did. He made me work my ass off every day with my starts. Built the best skates in the business. I think he memorized Mr. Cosen, Doug Christopher's dad, Bob Clinton's cadences to get me to get the snap that I got. I wasn't very big, so I wasn't fast down the straightaways, but I always got out of the gate good, so I think it was all from him. If I didn't have that gate, I probably would have been left behind. And my mom, she passed away years ago, but like most moms, I'm sure, she always gave me the earful of how great I am. You can beat everybody. Don't listen to what they say. So she was always there no matter what. When I was down, she'd always tell me, you know, you can do it. So I want to thank her. And then, of course, my kids, Cody and Courtney, they're here tonight. Proud of them. They, I don't know if they really realized I was really good at something ever before, but I think I got proof now. They've seen me play basketball, they've seen me play golf, they've seen me do all these other things that I'm horrible at, but I did ride bikes pretty good, you know. And my wife, Jamie, we've been together, I guess, since about the 82 Grands, 33 years. And here's the 33 more. I don't know how many people are here from Riverside, California, but yeah, Riverside was a pretty special place back in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure there's a lot of people here old enough to remember the high schools around Southern California actually had motocross teams. Made Marty Smith famous. Riverside, we weren't as cool, I guess, because we had BMX teams at our middle schools. And so seriously, we had Wells Middle School had a basketball team, a baseball team, and a BMX team, which is how I got my start, and I think quite a few kids in that area did. And more importantly, our home track was Corona Raceway. Yeah. If you're a golfer, that's like having your home course, Augusta, if you're a golfer. It was special. We didn't realize it at the time, but needless to say, there's should be another category just for tracks, and I think Corona would be at the top. And so that's how I got my start, racing the Saturday morning races at Corona for Wells Intermediate School, and then I don't know, maybe 3-4 minutes later, we heard about these 2 o'clock races that I think the rinks put on, which is another reason for him to be up here one day. And then we found out there's Friday night races at Corona Raceway. And that's where Eddie King comes in. I got to thank him for getting my first big sponsorship. I've never told him this story, but he truly is the reason I ended up on GT. I started racing these races. I was unknown, nobody knew who I was. Eddie King started coming up from San Diego to the Friday night races, and I mean, Eddie King was already famous. He was famous probably in diapers. Don't know why, but it happened a long time ago. And so one night, the gate starter said, "Hey, I've been watching you and Eddie King battling for the last couple of weeks, and if you win tonight, I'm going to sponsor you." And when you're 12 years old, you're like, "Wow, somebody's going to sponsor me. This is pretty cool." And long story short, the gate starter ended up being Rich Long. At the time, he was the owner of Anaheim Bicycle Center and future co-founder with Gary Turner of GT Bicycles. So I want to thank Eddie King for coming up from San Diego, driving a couple hours on Friday nights, and battling me at Corona Raceway. People that really aren't from that area and from Riverside, they got to really realize the people that came out of that area. Kevin McNeil, Riverside resident, Leo Green, Mike Miranda, the famous RRS bike shop of Craig Kundig was there. There was just a lot of people that came out of that area, and a lot of them are in the Hall of Fame, and it was a pleasure being part of that whole thing. But then this whole Pioneer Award, I always thought of myself as a racer, not a pioneer, but I guess I'm pretty old. And then I started thinking, I was like, Pioneer. I was there in Bakersfield in 1977 when Stu Thompson picked Brent Patterson up over his head and threw him down for taking him out. That's a pioneer moment, I think. I was lucky enough to be in the Trophy Dash, probably the most famous Trophy Dash ever. As it turned out, it was my first national win that put me in the Trophy Dash. It was Weinert Mountain 2, the Super Nationals in '78 when Greg Hill won the Trophy Dash at 14 years old. The track being illuminated by everybody's headlights because it got dark. I don't know what place I got, probably last in that race, but that's definitely a pioneer moment. I'm sure it is for Greg at least. I remember the SE van. I remember the NBA van. I remember my first race was on a Webco, tough wheels, and a coaster brake, and one pedal starts. So yeah, I guess I am a pioneer. Even if I didn't invent anything, I was around. I also want to I think everybody knows that they have a lot of competition, but I think I really do have a unique class of people. Listen to these names, and this is before I even turned pro. These are the guys that I raced on a weekly basis. The list is really long, so bear with me. I want to thank every one of these guys because I think we all made each other better, and I don't think none of these guys would be up here if it wasn't for each other. Brian Patterson, Ronnie Anderson, Rod Beckering, Mike Miranda, Mike Polson, Don Jolie, Pete Lankarovich, Nelson Chanity, Matt Harris, Tim Judge, Donnie Atherton, Tommy Brackens, Dave Marietti, Phil Maxwell, Chris Hopkins, Adam Cox, Steve West, and John Begin. And that was when I was like 13, 14 years old. I mean, that's literally who we raced against all the time. So it was pretty crazy. I'm sure the kids today think they have a lot of competition too, but I know we did back then. And the last thing I want to say, since this is Olympic year and all, let's just hope that Team USA makes America great again in 2016.